So recently I had the absolute immense pleasure of getting in a conversation with Tyson Franklin, who is a podiatrist, he's an author, he's a marketeer, he's a business owner, he's a speaker, he's a podcaster. And for any of you who've not actually listened to his Podiatry Legends podcast, episodes 7 and 73, which will be coming out at some point, are particularly good. Hint, hint. But Tyson is brilliant, and I've had some great conversations with him recently, and we could just literally talk for hours. We could just chatter away for hours. And what I wanted to do was really have a conversation with him to find out a little bit more about him, get a bit more of his background, his experience, but talk around the kind of things we can do with marketing at this time. So for those of you watching about now, you'll know we've got virus stuff going on. For those of you watching in the future, it's the stuff which happened in March, April of 2020. But I want to get an idea of, from his experience, some of the things which we could be doing now in order to market our practices and our businesses. Because some people are just at the point where they've kind of retracted, they've shrunk away because they don't want to be doing any of that kind of stuff. And getting Tyson's thoughts and Tyson's experience and knowledge and ideas was great. It's always good to get a conversation with him. We might have gone off tangent a little bit at times, but that's kind of what happens in these open conversations. But grab a cuppa, have a watch. I think this is quite a long one. Just see what you can absorb from it and see what you can take and use into your healthcare practice in this time to market and enjoy it. So I'm joined by this truly amazing person. I'm joined by the wonderful Tyson Franklin, who has a book, who will show to us at some point on the video, I'm sure. It's probably right next to him.
I don't know when he did that, but yeah. I've actually got pages marked and everything. I actually refer to my own book, funny enough, for different things.
It's interesting because you try and think of how you're going to introduce Tyson, and when we just chatter about all kinds of stuff. And in fact, before we started recording this, we've chatted for a while anyway. But I'm joined by Tyson. It's really good to have Tyson on here because, as far as I'm concerned, I read that book ages ago and was kind of like, oh my God, there's actually some method behind running a podiatry business. And for me, you're just like, you are the godfather of podiatry business education. So I'm absolutely honoured to have you here.
It's funny you say that. That makes me feel weird when people say that.
Yeah, it's kind of bigging you up, but which we all should do.
Yeah, it's one of those things when people say something really nice about you. I don't know if it's an Australian thing or what, but you sort of try and downplay it. You go, oh no, you shouldn't really be saying that. It feels weird. Yeah, but it's one of those things that you really just should be taking compliments on board and not feeling so strange about it. So thank you. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. But this is the thing, you see.
Thank you very much for mentioning my book.
yeah. Available in all good stores.
Yeah.
But it's actually thinking about that kind of accepting that kind of nice compliments is when I was doing my public speaking kind of initial training. You kind of go on and people are clapping you and you're just like, oh, I don't want to be clapped. And actually you should just stand there with your arms out and just go, yes, I accept all of your applause. I accept all of your compliments. Thank you very much. And just soak it up.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people, we're just humble. Like you want to think that you're humble. Like even though on the inside, when you get accolades, and I remember it was really funny, 2003, they have this a business award in Australia called the Australian Telstra Business Awards.
Yeah,
they're like the biggest business awards in Australia. Anyway, so I said to my wife, we're being nominated. I'm going to enter this thing. She said, okay. So anyway, I wrote this report up. Yeah, you had to answer all these questions, about 25 pages. It was a really big submission. So I wrote it. I gave it to my wife. I said, here, have a read of this, see what you think. She read it. She went, it's the biggest load of shit I've ever heard in my life. She goes, who wrote this? I said, what do you mean? She goes, who is this person? I'm reading it. I don't even recognize who this person is. She goes, it's as though you're answering the questions of what they want to hear, not what's really happening. I said, okay. So I went back and I rewrote the whole thing. And I just went, put on my Tyson hat and just said, I'm just going to say it as it is. This is the true story. Just answered all the questions. Anyway, we were there that night and we were up against an international cordial company and there were all these other businesses that had 100 employees. It was just blowing our minds. Room 500 people. And I said to my wife jokingly, so when we win this thing, are you going up or am I going up? And what was funny, when they said, and the winner is, and my business head then was Pro Arch Podiatry. And they said, the winner is Pro Arch Podiatry. We both sort of just looked at each other. We just had that split second when, hang on, did they just ask? And next thing, the room has just erupted because I didn't even, it was held in Brisbane. I didn't invite my parents, my mum. I didn't invite my brother. I didn't invite anybody I knew in Brisbane because I didn't think we stood a chance. And we took it out. And it's just sort of, and I remember walking up there. I didn't even have a speech prepared because I wasn't expecting to win. And I remember walking up, getting up there on stage and just looking down, and people are standing up and cheering because we were the underdogs. And a lot of people were just talking about us prior to that, just saying, you guys are such underdogs. Jesus, we hope you win. And when we did, the room just exploded. And I remember getting up there and just saying, oh well, yeah, that's great. Thanks. I'd love to thank the Australian government. Well, you never get a chance to thank them for anything. And all of a sudden, the crowd just started laughing. And so then it became like a little bit of a comedy show. And it's feeding off it. Rarely do you walk into your podiatry clinic. You could have a brilliant day. You could treat 10, 15, 20 patients. Everybody gets a fantastic result. You've had someone that's come in that maybe has had a problem for 6 months and you fixed it. And when the day finishes and the last person leaves and you lock that door and you walk towards your car, you want to feel like there's 100 people in the car park giving you that big round of applause that you just had a fantastic day.
Yeah.
And I actually feed off of that awards night so often. I sit there sometimes just picturing myself back in there, people cheering me on. And I think we need to do that when we've done something great, or we've done something that doesn't have to be great. It does not even have to be recognized by people. But just when we've done something, is cheer yourself on the inside, give yourself a pat on the back. And it goes back to your original compliment about the book. It's just when people give you a compliment, just accept it. People don't give you, if people don't want to, if people think you're crap, they're not going to lie to you. They just won't say anything. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, we got off on that.
That's right. Well, anyone watching this will realise that when we have a conversation, it just goes in whatever direction it goes, which is one of the beautiful things about having a conversation with you. It goes where it goes. But before we come to that, there's a couple of things in there which I want to touch on, which I think are really, really interesting. We were going to have a conversation really around kind of marketing at the moment, and what kind of marketing we should be doing when you feel you maybe shouldn't be marketing, or you feel that you need to cut back on your marketing, or you feel it's the wrong time to actually go out and put yourself out to the world as a business. But before we go down that route, where did it all start for you? Where does your kind of history and podiatry come from? What was the beginning?
How was I first exposed to it?
Well, yes.
Okay,
that's a good way of putting it, I suppose.
Yeah, exposed.
That's a very question. You can tell who does the regular podcast and interviewing people between the two of us.
So, I was going to be an art teacher, and I had been accepted, and I thought, cool, I'm going to be an art teacher. And my brother was doing dentistry at the time, and he said to me, "Oh, so what are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to be an art teacher." And he goes, "Oh, you're kidding me." He said, "I'm going to be a wealthy dentist and you're going to be a poor art teacher." I said, "Well, what are you talking about?" He said, "Well, I'll be driving a Porsche one day. He said, you'll have a Volkswagen. You'll be hitting me up for money to buy some paint. And eventually you're just going to annoy me that much. We'll stop talking." So, you know what? We may as well just stop talking now and just get it over and done with. And I said, "Well, what else?" So anyway, the next day I was at school, saw my art teacher. I said, "Out of curiosity, what sort of car do you drive?" She said, "A Volkswagen." "Why?" I went, "Oh, shit." And I told her the story. She said, "Look, Tyson, you're smart enough to do anything you want." So I sat down with my brother and I said, "Okay, what do I do then?" He says, "Do anything in the health field, and you'll never be unemployed and you'll make above average income. Simple tip." So, okay. So we started looking at all the different options, and I realized I wanted to do something where no one ever died and everything could wait till tomorrow. So there was only podiatry, optometry, and radiography were the three things where no one died and everything could wait till tomorrow. Then a guy that I went through school with, Lyndon, we were in school together from grade 1 through to grade 12. So I went back and repeated grade 12. Lyndon went off. I had no idea what he went and did. When I was at school, I was sitting down, okay, going through podiatry, optometry, radiography. Lyndon turned up at the school just to come back and see us. I said, so Lyndon, what'd you end up doing at uni? He says, I'm doing podiatry. I went, well, I'll be buggered. I said, okay. And he sort of said, I really didn't know what it was. And he's telling me about these things called orthotics that you make. And he said, you know what? You would be fantastic at making these because of your art background. And got me excited.
Bing.
Yeah, and that's sort of how I got into it. That was my first exposure to it. But then I didn't realize that even when I was a kid growing up, the lady that had the local shop that sold materials and all that to my mum all the time for sewing, her son was a podiatrist and ended up being one of my lecturers. And I did figure that out. And she used to talk about a son that had some weird job looking at feet. And as a kid, I was going, oh, okay, he's a weird foot person. I didn't know what he was. So, but that was it was because of that friend I went through school with. And then what was funny, so then we ended up at university together. And he was the year ahead of me. And he was a really, really super, super nice guy, but super quiet. And I turn up and I'm a little bit louder, but him and I were like best friends at school. So I rock up and next to me, he's over, he's chatting away to me, talking, and he walks out of the room. And all the people in second year came out and said, we've never heard him speak. What is it that you've got? And I said, because they were going, yeah, you're complete opposites. How can you possibly get along? So that was my exposure to podiatry. That's how I got into it in the first place. Long-winded story. Sorry.
It is, but no, but I love talking to people about how they became podiatrists, how they went down that route of getting there, because it's very rarely a linear route. It's very rarely, I went to school, I looked at all the options objectively. I decided that podiatry was the most logical one. I went and then got my grades, my A-levels to get into podiatry, went through university, qualified at 20 or graduated at 21 and then went straight into podiatry. That doesn't seem to happen. Certainly in the UK, it's people either end up having some kind of ingrown toenail surgery, or they have a foot problem and get orthotics.
Never was exposed to podiatry as I know a lot of people that have been on the Podiatry Legends podcast. That a lot of them.
Sorry, what was that? I've never heard that before.
I never had the Podiatry Legends podcast. Yeah. The
episode 007 is particularly fantastic, I've heard.
Yes.
And 73 looks like it's going to be pretty good as well.
Is it 70? Yeah, I think it is. 73 is going to be a beauty, so I've heard.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
So, what was I going to say? You threw me then. Oh, yeah. So a lot of people have been on the Podiatry Legends podcast. They were exposed to podiatry. They had an injury, and then because of that injury, they saw a podiatrist that intrigued them. And that got them excited about, that looks like something I could do. Whereas I think the other part that interested me about podiatry, I wanted a job where no one ever died, everything could wait till tomorrow. But I also wanted something where I could work for myself and it wasn't going to cost me an arm and a leg to do it. And podiatry was one of those professions where I knew it wasn't going to cost a fortune to set up my own business. So, and that's why, but even when I graduated, my plan wasn't to work for myself. I wanted to work for somebody else. I thought I'll work for somebody else for a couple of years, get some experience, take a couple of holidays, play football, just be myself. I was still a big kid. And then when I went and had a look at all the jobs that were on offer, they were just rubbish. And all they wanted me to do, they wanted to employ me to do all the shit work that they didn't want to do themselves.
Mm.
And I just kept looking at it. And I remember this job I was going to go for. It was in my hometown. It was in Nerang, on the Gold Coast. And I talk to the girl. She explains the job to me. And then, I said, yes, great. It's close to home. It's only about a 2-minute drive. And I said, oh, by the way, how much are you paying? And she said, I'm paying you this. And I went, it was crap. I was getting paid more money killing chickens at the chook farm where I was working while I was at university. And I went, okay, so you're going to pay me $2 an hour less, and I have to have registration, insurance, and all this other stuff, whereas I can keep killing chickens and make $2 an hour more. And she goes, well, what do you want to do? Kill chickens or look at feet? Well, that's a tough one. So I said, no, I want to look at feet, but I actually want to be paid for looking at feet. I mean, the money was really bad. And at the time, there were just, it's just what it was. If you're working with somebody else, the money just wasn't good. So instead, I decided, that's it. I'm going to set up my own practice. And I did. And I was probably on about $10 less than I was if I had stayed at the chook farm. Actually, I'll be perfectly honest. I kept my job at the chook farm because the chook farm I used to work from 5 in the morning. I used to work from 5 in the morning till 9. Then I'd go to my podiatry clinic. So I kept my job at the chook farm because I needed to do that to pay the rent while the clinic was being built up.
Because that was your first clinic though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was my first one on the Gold Coast. Had absolutely no idea what I was doing.
Because you then shifted. You had a massive shift to a place where people were telling you you were never going to get a clinic up and running. There just wasn't a business model there, and you just turned it around and turned it into an amazing business.
Well, yeah, what happened is I had the clinic on the Gold Coast for about 2 years, and it plodded along, and it was okay. It wasn't great. I didn't make great money. It made enough to live off of. That was fine. One of the things I did purely by accident was I went and visited every single referring doctor on the Gold Coast. It took me 6 months. I rang up, made an appointment with them, went out there and said, I just want to put a name to a face. Went out there, shook their hand, said hello. And I went right along the whole Gold Coast, probably about a 30-kilometre sort of strip. Took me 6 months to get through everybody. And I was amazed at how many doctors, physios and chiropractors I met who said, wow, I've never met a podiatrist before. Nearly all my referrals came from those people that I met at those initial meetings. So I did that purely, that was totally accidental. It wasn't through, wow, I've got a good idea. I'm going to go and visit everyone. I don't know how, I just did it. So then I had the clinic for a couple of years, and then I was off of work for 2 years. I couldn't work, so my hands were stuffed. So I don't know if you can see my finger right now. See that?
Yeah.
See that? Well, I had that right across my whole hands, right up to my wrists, all across my feet, on my face. I look like a pepperoni pizza with extra cheese. And it sort of just broke out. I was 26. Fortunately, I had an insurance guy come and harass me about, you need to have insurance. No, I don't. You need to have insurance. No, I don't. So this went on for ages. And then he eventually conned me, as I kept saying, into getting insurance. And 3 months later, I was off. And I just went, yes, thank you for talking me into it. So I was off of work for 2 years, had business expense insurance as well. So I could have the clinic running for 12 months, all my expenses paid. So that I had a friend working there for me. Therefore, I had to sell the practice because that was only for 12 months. Sold it. My ex-wife, my current wife is really cool, but my ex-wife had a brother living in Cairns and said, hey, we should just go for a drive up there. I went, okay. So in 1992, I came for a drive up to Cairns. In 1993.
I was 19 years old then.
Yeah, and about a couple of years later, my ex-wife wanted to go back down south. So I helped her pack. And I... So that's terrible, isn't it? So, yeah, so I helped her pack. And so she left and I stayed. And I stayed in Cairns. So it was... But what was interesting, I came to Cairns and it was one of those areas that there was one podiatrist when I got here. And I remember one of my lecturers at uni, Alan Crawford, which, we banged heads for so many years, but he's probably the person I respected more than anybody else. Like through my career, I had so much respect for the guy. And he just said, if you want to do well in podiatry, go where nobody else is prepared to go. And I went, okay. And Cairns is in the tropics. It's a beautiful place. And there's about 15 podiatry clinics here now. So everyone eventually figured out it was a nice place to be. But when I got here, it was just one of those things. I said, I didn't know if I was going to be able to work because of my hands. My hands became good, started work, and straight away I just went. I didn't just open up a clinic straight away. I sort of worked in a few different places, but I did the same thing. I went out, visited everybody, and I just became I think a big part, I became part of the community. That was, I attended events. It's like you just need to be seen and you need to be heard. You can't just open up a clinic, sit in your business, send out a few letters and go, oh, you know what? Everyone's just going to come to me. You need to get off your ass. You need to go to networking. One of the best networking things I went to, the Cairns Businesswomen's Association. When you go along to that and there's 200 women and one guy, you're noticed. And there's nothing in the rules to say a guy couldn't go. Now you go to the Cairns Businesswomen's event and there's about 20, 25 guys that go along to it. But it's, to me, I went to the Chamber of Commerce. I went to Business Liaison Association events. Yeah, I went to the Cairns Businesswomen's events. You just have to be seen in the community. You need to be contributing. I would turn up at running events and I'd ask, can I help? We'd have a stand every now and then. We sponsored local sporting teams and we'd turn up and see if they needed a hand. You need to be, if you're in especially a closed community like Cairns, 120,000 people, it's such a close-knit market. You need to be seen contributing back to the community. So just sitting in your business thinking, oh, everyone's going to come to me because I've got 4 degrees. I've got 2 more than everybody else. Public don't care. They just want to know that they can trust you. They want to like you. And when they do that, they'll come and do business with you.
Yeah. I mean, that's a massively, massively important point. I remember in my clinic, when I had my clinic, I was very proud of these. Very, very proud of these.
Oh,
things.
what you got there?
That's my master's degree in lower limb musculoskeletal studies.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you where mine is. I'd never put it up on the wall.
Well, I'll sell this actually. I can take it out of the frame and Tipex my name out, or somebody can change their name to Dave Jones by default. But this, I've never, since it came down off the wall in the clinic, it's never gone up anywhere else because it doesn't. I love it. It's really important. It's a real achievement. But again, I came out of my. Before I came out of my graduation expecting everyone to be like, yay, and people are like, yeah. But I used to have those on the wall in the clinic in front of the patient because I wanted to show them that I had got all these skills and all this expertise. And I actually realised that they had no interest in that at all. The only person who had any interest was me. And I shifted it to another wall where people could see it if they wanted. And I refer to that wall of I called it the wall of academic wankery, because the only person who's really interested in those things are me. And I'm not knocking qualifications, but it's not the thing to lead with, in my very humble opinion.
Well, what I used to say to people, if you want to put something on your wall, put a photo. Like if you've done the base camp of Mount Everest, put that on your wall. That will impress people more than the degrees that you have, because it's something you talk about. Yeah. If you've been to Africa, put a photo of yourself in Africa, different things that you've done where people can see different pictures and go, oh, okay, that's what you like. I learned a little bit more about it. Photo with your family. That is going to be more important to your patients than your certificate. Pieces of paper mean nothing.
No, exactly. It's all about connecting people. All about connecting.
But it must have been when I won the Telstra Award that time. I just wanted to staple it to the front of my shirt.
It's interesting, actually. A question I was going to ask around that, and it's one which probably sits with incongruence. So we've talked about incongruence recently a fair amount. That when you wrote your first kind of submission for the awards, and the wife picked it up and went, "Who's this?" And then you went, "Right, Tyson Howard, I'm going to write the next one." Do you think that you would have won the award with your first submission?
No, wouldn't have won it. Well, I spoke to the judges afterwards. So what happens is you put the submission in, and then it got narrowed down to 6 finalists. And I went, oh, okay. So what happened is I put my submission in. I get a phone call, 6 weeks later, 8 weeks later, I forget. And this lady rings up and says, oh, hi, I'm from the Australian Telstra Awards. And just letting you know that you're in the finals of the Telstra Awards. I said, oh, okay, yeah, that's great. And I hung up. And then I rang my wife and I said, oh, we're in the finals. She goes, what's that mean? I said, I actually don't know. So then I rang her back. I said, oh, you just rang me and said we're in the finals. I said, what's that actually mean? He said, oh, well, we're going to fly you down to Brisbane, put you up in the accommodation. Everything's paid for. It's a huge event. I said, how many people actually entered? She went, in your category, about 500. And I went, so getting the final 6 is pretty good. She went, bloody oath, it's pretty good. Yeah, that's great. And I went, and it wasn't until then that I realized, shit, we've actually, whether we win or not, that was pretty cool just to get to the finals. So, yeah, it's, I can't remember how we got to that again.
we're just going all kinds of directions.
Oh, no, you said about the congruency of whether we would have. Yeah, so after the event, so then we went through that process. Before they said there's 6, we put in submission, and then some people came out to my clinic and visited me. So there was like 2 or 3 judges came out, and they spent about 2 hours with me, asked me all these questions, talking to staff, walking around the clinic, and then they left. So, and then when I got to Brisbane, I then had to have another interview with the Brisbane judging committee. There was like 6 people. There was a guy from Westinghouse, a massive law firm. There were all these different things. When we did that one, and then I went and spoke to the judges. When we won it, I went up to the judges, thanked them afterwards, and said, "Yeah, that was great." I said, out of curiosity, why did we win? And they just went, "You were so real." They said, "When we read your submission and won, we laughed through a lot of it because I had photos of us dressed up as Mexicans. I had a photo of our rowing team just getting absolutely smashed because no one in our team knew how to row, which is not good." So yeah, and they said, when we read your submission and then we met you and then we met the people at your clinic, and everything you said in your submission was actually, we could see that in your clinic. It was a direct reflection of what was actually going on. So that's the part about the authenticity that actually lets you realize that you need to be authentic with what you're doing. You've got to show your real self.
Yeah.
Because and they said, you'd be surprised how many people put in submissions. And then when we went and visited the business owner could not ask one question, couldn't answer any questions that we had asked them because they didn't write the submission. Their practice consultant who nominated them put the submission in on their behalf, and they were just the figurehead of a business.
Yeah.
Whereas they could tell, didn't matter what they asked me, I could have told them word for word what was on each page because I had read it that many times.
Yeah. And you think about the discomfort. We talked about this earlier this week. The discomfort that
we're not talking about our shirts.
No, definitely not.
No.
yeah, from the nipples up we're okay. But we're talking about people are going, what are they on about? This is just us talking about stuff. This is just where we go with it. But think about, those judges sitting there reading your submission and going, oh, okay, fair enough. And then meeting you and going, right, we get this. Submission by this person, that's the same person we've met. They marry, they match together. Brilliant. But imagine that little bit of unconscious discomfort they have when they read a submission by a business, a practice manager, and then they talk to the business owner and they just go, okay. And they will know very obviously that that's not the same person who's written it and is turning up there. But imagine if you've got that very subtle incongruence which sits at that unconscious level and makes you feel uncomfortable. You can't quite place your finger on it.
Well, it's like when you'll see a business do some advertising, and the way that they advertise a particular way, and then you'll walk into that business and you go, oh, this is not what I expected.
Yeah.
It's just, you're expecting one thing, and when you get in, you go, this is not what I thought I was going to see. And sometimes it could be the smallest thing. It could be anything from the way the people are dressed to the smell. I always say that when people walk into a business, it's not just how it looks. How does it smell? How does it sound? Yeah. They're not tasting the chairs or anything like that. But
not at the moment anyway.
Not at the moment. No, don't go doing that. The old but it's, there's so many things that, like I've seen business where they'll say one thing and you walk in and you'll see the uniforms that they're wearing go right against what it is that they do.
Yeah.
and sort of go, okay, or like, yeah, I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to pinpoint to anybody. I'll keep that. No, I was going to give an example, and I thought, nah, I won't do that. Keep it to myself.
We could talk about it. We could talk about that when we're not recording.
Yeah. Filter. I put a filter on then.
Put a filter. Blimey, eh? That was impressive.
Okay. No, bugger.
Reflection on action. I like that.
Yeah. No. Okay. I'll take the filter off. I hate it when you walk into a place and it's like they're just dressed inappropriately for the job that they're doing. If that makes any sense. And the receptionists are I reckon the biggest offenders of it, where you'll walk in and you're standing at a counter and the person might be wearing a top and their jugs are just hanging out. And you're looking, and like you have to look because it's like wrong not to. But you know what I mean?
There's a distraction, whether it's that or whether it's something else. There's something which doesn't fit with the environment.
It's not just that. It's got this environment. It's like this professional environment, but then the person's dressed and they've got their jugs hanging out, or they're wearing a skirt that is that short that when they're trying to just move their reception chair to do something, yet they're trying to cover their legs up at the same time. And you go, well, wear something more appropriate for what it is that you're doing. And yeah, I don't know. I'm getting off track. Sorry, it just annoys me.
But no, that incongruence is quite a powerful thing. It's a very, very powerful thing. And we talked about kind of clothing and outfits earlier this week again. If we just for the record, we've had sort of this is the third conversation we've had in about a week, which has been great. But one of the things I remember is when I was doing my videos of my marketing ages ago, I would dress in a particular way to try and get a particular response. So I'd maybe wear a shirt or wear a short sleeve shirt and I'd tuck it in.
Oh, yeah. Well, the videos I saw with your jugs out, I commented. I'm sorry, but I had to say something.
I was overweight. I was definitely overweight at that point, that's for sure. That wasn't quite my 17 stone days. But I look back at those videos and think, who is that? And I can imagine that people would see a video of me, then they would come to the clinic and go, doesn't look like the same person. That looks like someone completely different. And even though it's on the whole, it's the same person. There's a trying really hard on the videos to get a particular response, and then in clinic there's a trying really hard to in a different way. And that does have a little bit of unconscious discomfort. It kind of makes a bit of an imbalance, and I'm certain that will affect the patient outcomes. It will affect the trust. It will affect their ability to maybe get better, or the speed that they get better. These things will, over time, and they pile up, one on top of the other. Maybe it's what someone in clinic's wearing. Maybe it's the smell of the clinic. Maybe it's the look of the clinic. Maybe it's the marketing and the message they're putting out. But all of those things pile on top of each other and become something quite big. And it will stop people from going to certain places.
Well, I just feel, especially front reception is one of those areas that the person at the front needs to be so professional and so likable to everybody that walks in.
Yep.
and like, I've got nothing against women dressing really nicely, nothing at all against that. But I just think as a frontline person, sometimes there's a line between looking very professional and also looking like you're about to go to a nightclub. But I've seen, and it's not just women. I've seen podiatrists where I've had podiatrists work for me where they've rocked up and we've had, say, a button-up shirt, and I'm like, hey, Fabio, can you do you want to do up a few more buttons? Because I can almost see your stomach hair. So I was just, it's making me more comfortable. And I'm like, well, just do it up. So I'm not talking just about women. Guys can dress the wrong way as well.
I think, yeah, and picking a uniform or an outfit for a clinic is a really...
It's a tough one, especially if you've got a number of staff and you're trying to find a uniform that is fitting for everybody.
Yeah.
And we're all different. We're all different. Yeah, not everybody is like fit Greek Adonises like you and I. No, but what I mean, like we're just we're all different body shapes, and you've got to have a uniform that makes you look like a team, but at the same time doesn't make somebody look or feel uncomfortable. And it's really hard to do, which is why you then need to go to professional like uniform places and really dig deep into how you do that.
Yeah, and it's something you talk about with the whole team of people as well. I mean, a number of times I'm the dentist style tunics where they're kind of press stud or button up on the side, and then they come across as a bit of a collar. I'm not a fan of collars. So if you see me in a shirt, it's usually open. I don't often wear ties. I find it a bit restrictive, a bit uncomfortable. So one of the things I see is where you get that kind of tunic and you'll undo the top two buttons and you'll just tuck it in. And that's really comfortable, but it just looks awful. It's a bit like wearing a suit with a shirt and tie, and then taking the tie off, wrapping it around your head, turning it to the side, and having it like a Rambo headband.
You don't like that?
No, it doesn't. only when I used to drink. But it is. You're still wearing a tie, but you just look at it and go, it doesn't look right. And I think if you've got to have a uniform, in my opinion, you've got to have a uniform which is clinically appropriate, business appropriate, and gives a really good message about what you do, how you do it, your professionalism, a lot about you as well. And I really struggled. I struggled with different types of shirts. I remember actually when I went from a scrub top, which looked a bit messy for me, to a shirt. And I remember a couple of patients going, "Oh, nice shirt. Does this mean you've put your prices up?" And it was that. And it was that kind of, okay, they're a price-sensitive patient, which is fair enough. But suddenly it was kind of like, that's the kind of effect that a uniform will have. So if people see you as dressing to a higher end, a higher quality, they'll expect that they're going to pay more. And that's quite an interesting thing on its own.
It's to me, at one stage there, we got sick of trying to pick everybody's uniform. So we said to everyone, okay, what we're going to do instead, we're just going to make a color. A color is going to be navy blue. You buy it, and we will just put the logo on it. But you go and buy it, we'll put the logo on. And all the women did a great job. All the receptionists and the female podiatrists did an excellent job. They all found really nice tops that they liked. We went and got the logo on. So the podiatrist, I just said to them, guys, you've got to spend more than $5 on a shirt. They must have gone down to we got a shop here called Best and Lest, which is just super cheap. And I said to them, there's no way on this earth I'm putting my logo on that shirt. I said, so new rule, all the women, you guys can do whatever you want because you're responsible. Guys, I'm going to get the shirts and you're wearing what I'm bloody telling you. And my wife just went, do they seriously think that? I mean, it was the cheapest looking polo type shirt, that one of those ones that that as soon as you wash it twice, it was just going to go to half the color of what it is.
Yeah.
And then the collar would be all twisted and out of shape. And so I said, no. So I went and organized sports shirts, and then that's what we ended up wearing. Two out of three looked good. Two of us looked good in the shirt.
Yeah.
And one didn't. So bad luck.
Yeah. But no, it is interesting how all those little things kind of balance. You get the congruence right.
And
you get that balance.
Tip about the uniform though. If you do not have a uniform, especially as the podiatrist and the business owner, if you don't have a uniform with your business name on it, you're nuts. That's just my opinion.
This is where people are going to scrabble off from this now and go, do I need to do that? And actually, you see a lot of people with their business logos on polo shirts, and they look great.
Yeah, well,
I used to do it with mine.
But I remember when we set up the Mackay Clinic, which was about 800 kilometers south of Cairns. And when we were setting that clinic up, we were down there for 2 weeks solid, talking to builders while the builders were in there working, getting phones hooked up. We're going around town, setting up stationary accounts, doing all that. I had my shirt on with our logo. I'd booked in, I don't know how many patients we booked in over that 2 week period before we'd even opened the doors, because of just conversations that were sparked because we had the podiatry shirt on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people go, oh, you're setting up a new podiatry. Go, yeah. Oh, okay. We mean to actually see a podiatrist. Well, I can make the appointment for you now. And I pull out the phone and I just basically book them in. So, yeah, to me, it's you're walking into a petrol station. They see your logo. Now, they may not say to you, hey, I want to book an appointment with you right now, but they see the logo.
Yeah.
And then they're top of mind. When they need a podiatrist, if you go to that same place all the time, every time they see your logo, that's a reminder that you're the podiatry clinic they should be seeing. What was that thing I showed you before? What did it say? When your friends say you should see a podiatrist, I'm the one they're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it is that, you said it, top of mind. And there's a great phrase by a guy called Jonah Berger. I'm sure it's Jonah Berger, where he's talking about Contagious. It's a book called Contagious, where it talks about why things go viral, so why videos go viral, why posts go viral. And he talks about this thing called top of mind, tip of tongue. And that is the aim with any of your marketing, is to be top of mind, tip of tongue. So every opportunity you can get to go, there's my logo, there's my business, there's what I do, there's me, and you put it out there to people. And there's different stats, isn't there, around the number of times that people have to be introduced to a brand in order to suddenly go, oh yeah, I want to go and see them. And it used to be 1 or 2, then it became 6 or 7. Now there's talk of it being 20 or 21 times that you have to have 20 or 21 touch points.
Well, I can think of any service. If all of a sudden I moved to a new town and I had a problem with the tooth and I need to see a dentist, first thing I'm going to be asking is the people I've become friendly with in the first month or so I'm there, I need to see a dentist. Who would you recommend? I'm not yes, I might go online and look at those dentists, and I might be 3 or 4 of them going, oh, I'm not sure about this one or that one. Where do I go? Then you talk to a friend. If they mention one of the ones that are in the top 2 or 3 that you liked because you liked their website, then that's tick. Yeah, I liked their website. I liked the information. Still haven't made a decision. Now I've had 3 friends tell me this is the one I should go to.
Yeah.
And you go tick, tick. Okay, the trust is automatically started to build up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that, certainly at the moment, at least one of the things we were going to talk about is that
we're going to get to their point.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah, we've got to places I wasn't expecting, which is what happens with all good relationships. It's a relationship based on trust. But one of the things which is really interesting at the moment is certainly, when people are watching this now, they'll kind of know the general time we're in. People are watching this in the future, they'll be like, oh yeah, I remember it was during that virus thing.
Yeah, that virus thing.
That virus thing, which has just been dropped on us and has changed the landscape. For the moment, it will all go back to equilibrium at some point. But a lot of people have gone, bugger, what do I do now? What is it I do in my business? Because a lot of podiatry clinics now have gone from normal 100% trading capacity, I suppose, to about 2 or 3% where they're seeing emergencies. People are cutting back. People are worried about the future, worried about finances. And we had a chat in the group, the Stepping Up group last night about this. And people are going through all different stages of grief. But one of the things which seems to have really dropped back with a lot of people is their visibility and their marketing. And I suspect, and from talking to people, that there's fear. There's fear about how much it's going to cost me to market. There's fear about, am I going to say the wrong thing to people? And there's fear about, what is it I actually say then to patients to look like I'm not taking advantage? And I'm really interested to kind of get, I've got thoughts on this, but I'm really interested to kind of get your thoughts on it, because this is, you do your marketing workshops, you do your 6 months of marketing stuff. This is something which marketing for healthcare businesses inside and out. I'm really interested to kind of get your take on it.
Well, one thing that's interesting is, like in my book.
For those of you listening on the podcast I haven't done yet, which may be at this point, Tyson's holding up a copy of a book called It's No Secret There's Money in Podiatry.
Okay, so, yeah. Well, and what's funny is some of the stuff I'm telling people now with what's going on is it's actually in my book, but it's not mentioned because of the COVID-19 virus. But I think the biggest thing that podiatry clinics should be doing now is opening up the lines of communication with their patients more than they've ever done before. And it's not about going out there and trying to find new patients. New patients at the moment do not give a rat's ass about you right now. They've got other things going on. They want to make mortgage repayments. They're wondering, are their kids going to get educated this year? Yeah, or they're all going to end up dumb, because they're going to fail their HSC, their final year of school. There's so much else going on. Yeah, they're wondering if they're going to have a job next week. So, yes, there's probably a few people out there that are doing sport, hurt the foot, or maybe I should see a podiatrist. But I don't think majority of people at the moment that podiatry is like top of mind of priorities, considering everything else that's going on. Therefore, your internal marketing, and this is in my book, it's in one of the chapters, I can't remember which one it is, but internal marketing is one of the marketing pillars. And internal marketing is all about your database. Your database is gold. And if you do not have an online, an email newsletter, then now is the perfect time to do it. Just go and sign up for one of the free ones like MailChimp, Campaign Monitor. There's a number of them out there. Sign up, play around with it, and get one out this week. And keep it simple. It's not about trying to sell all the services that you're doing. And what people don't realize, they go, oh, I've heard if you do newsletters, only 20% of people open them up. Or 20% if you're lucky, but maybe 10 or 15, 20. We've had some go up to 30. What the important stat is how many do not unsubscribe.
Yeah.
That's the important one, because it means it's hit their inbox. They've seen your name come up on their inbox. They may have deleted it, not opened it, but they haven't unsubscribed. Now, if you're doing that every 2 weeks or every month, that is a reminder, hey, we're still there. Hey, we're still here. We haven't disappeared. It's just keeping you top of mind that my podiatrist is still there. My podiatrist is still there. But in the newsletter right now, I'd just be keeping it really simple. Let them know whether you're open or whether you're not, what you guys are doing, what you're doing to keep yourselves occupied. If you're spending more time with your family, show them the positive stuff that you're getting out of this. Oh, I'm doing an online course. I'm learning something. I'm listening to Tyson and Dave on a regular basis.
Tyson and Dave show, yeah.
Yeah, just keep them in touch with what it is that you're actually doing right now. And then, share, like if you like cooking, cook something, take a photo, share the recipe. If there's a certain champagne you've come across, crack open a bottle, pour a glass, take a photo of you drinking it, tell them where they can get it from, how much it is and why it's nice. It could be the same with the spirit. It could be a bottle of wine. If there's a funny joke, share the funny joke. If there's something funny about COVID-19, share it. It's just, there's not too many funny things.
At the moment.
But not yet. But it's like, it's maintaining contact. It's not about telling them everything about your clinic and why they should see you as a podiatrist. It's just maintaining that contact. So to me, that's the biggest thing, is just maintaining contact with your patients. Or with your database. And like I'm saying, do an electronic one, but if you've got a smaller database, there's nothing wrong. Like, paper newsletters work. And the reason they work is because no one gets mail anymore.
Yeah.
So it will, if you do things that nobody else is doing, that's how you stand out.
Yeah. Mail going out in a coloured envelope with a handwritten envelope. That gets opened every time, because you used to see, white envelopes with little plastic windows on.
What bill's this?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas if you get something which is handwritten, people go, "Ooh, what's this?" and they open it, and it does make a massive difference. But that consistency in keeping in touch is really important. I was chatting last night, and one of the things, this person said to me, "Well, what should I be putting in my social media at the moment?" Because all of those things I don't want to upset people, I don't want to take advantage. And I said, well, if your intention at the beginning was to create know, like, and trust with your marketing, and your intention was to serve people, to help people, and to kind of showcase how you make a difference to people's lives, why has that changed? That hasn't changed at all. The difference is, instead of saying, this is how we help you in clinic, it's, this is how I can help you to maintain your feet at home at the moment until you come back and see me in the future. And it's
I think a really good thing. Yeah, I think a really good thing now, like I've noticed there's a lot more people out walking. Yeah, there's a lot more people out there exercising, walking, husband and wives walking together because they're both at home together.
I know. What's wrong with them?
Yeah, and they're talking.
I
They're
know,
actually
oh my
talking to each
God,
other
no.
too. But if they're doing that, people are walking. So give them some advice on, hey, when you go to buy some new shoes, this is what, these are some shoes that I like. Or, hey, if you're doing a lot more walking, you might find you're getting tight in your calf muscles. Here's a really cool stretch, and shoot a little video. It's all about helping people through what they're going through at the moment, trying to make their life easier, give them as much. Yeah, if people have got corns, calluses, yes, they can't come in and get treatment. So what else can they do? What can they do to get themselves out of pain? Because if you can give them as much information as you can now, when the doors all open back up, who are they going to remember? The person that helped them the most during this downtime.
Yeah.
They're not going to remember the guy that did the flash ad saying, hey, we've got 2-for-1 orthotics. They're like, great, I don't even need one pair. What am I going to do with two?
Yeah. Yeah, and you're absolutely spot on, right? I share those thoughts completely.
And I know, like a lot of people at the moment, they're talking about telehealth. We can do a lot of online consultations. Yeah, but why not some of your patients, if you've got your own internal database right now, why not have a Q&A session once a week on Facebook and do a live video where your patients can just tune in and ask you questions, and you don't charge them for it.
Yeah.
You do a 2-hour session on a Friday morning. Hey, and you promote that, going to be on there Friday morning from 8:30 to 10:30. Anyone got any questions about any pains that they're having? Jump on, ask me the question, I'll answer it, and then you can go again. You don't need to hang around for the 2 hours. Put that in your newsletter. Tell people that you're doing those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And to me, they're the sort. Okay, you're not making money from it, but you will. What you're doing is you're building. You're putting like credit. It's like your credibility bank. You're putting things into this credibility bank that you're going to draw upon later on.
There's a law of reciprocity. Yeah, I can never pronounce it.
Yeah, reciprocity. Yes,
reciprocity. That's the one. So
that's the one.
So we get reciprocal stuff. So when you give to someone, which you are in this case, people will feel the need to give as well. And whether that's they give to you, they want to return the favour, coming in as a patient, spending some money with you. And I've heard stories about people ringing up to check on their patients to make sure they're all right. And the patient's going, obviously I know your business is tough and I don't really feel for you. I want to pay for the appointment I was going to have but can't get to. People respond to these things in an amazing way. When you give, people give back, or they pay forward. So you can't go wrong with that kind of stuff. And the other thing is that you do a Q&A for 2 hours on any subject, you're going to get content which you can then use for your marketing moving forward. And we talked about this.
Especially people asking you questions.
Exactly. So when someone asks you a question, you answer it. And when you answer it, you can answer it in a blog, in a video, in a small post, with an image, with an infographic, and that becomes content for your social media further down the line.
But could you mention that all of a sudden, 8:30 to 10:30, you're doing Facebook Live, you turn on, okay, there's nobody there. But you just talk, you go, hey, you have a few pointers written down that these are a couple of things you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Because you said you're going to be there from 8:30 to 10:30. So even if you have to sit there and just go, just hanging around. Yeah, and you might start with an hour. But I'll guarantee you, a lot of your patients, if a few do chime in, they're going to start telling their friends, hey, my podiatrist is on from 8:30 to 10:30. So if you've got any questions, you can just log in and watch them. And they're not even patients yet. So I think you could eventually build up some new patients that you'll get down the track once all the restrictions are gone.
Yeah, and there's people who've been doing this anyway. There's people who've been doing sort of a once a month they'll have. I mean, Amy Mack does it. She's the one who does the live, where it'll be an Ask Me Anything live first Wednesday of the month. I think it's first Wednesday. If it's not first Wednesday, she'll tell me off. But first Wednesday of the month, where she goes on sort of between 7 and 8 on the evening, and it's kind of Ask Me Anything. And it's conversational, it's very relaxed, and patients absolutely love it. And then other podiatrists and other people in our industry and our profession go on and check it out as well. So it's...
Yeah, I didn't know about that. I might jump on there and...
Yeah, that's a really good one. I'm still hoping she's doing it at the moment.
I'll go under my Cinnamon name. I've got this
You're-
other name I got this other name that I use when I want to harass people. So I won't tell her this. Just all of a sudden this person pops up, and she'll be like, I had this idiot on, and that'll be me.
Yeah, we love a pseudonym. But all that stuff is really, a lot of it comes down to consistency. A lot of it comes down to being top of mind, tip of tongue, and it comes down to service, which is what we always try and do anyway. We're always trying to serve people, we're always trying to help people, serving our community, serving our patients, serving ourselves, in the cheesiest of ways. But if we keep those at top of mind for us and continue down that route, it makes a difference. I know there's a thing called the compound effect. You know about the compound effect.
Yeah, I've got the book.
Yeah, compound effect it's an amazing book, and it's that idea that if you do a small thing consistently each day, it will grow into something much bigger. And while you don't see the effect of it initially, later on it just skyrockets. And it's the same for things like innovation. It's the same for anything we do. But to the same token, if you think that if you don't do anything, that you'll just tick along on a nice steady pace and nothing will change. And actually, if you don't do anything, you drop off. It goes into a negative compounding. But the compounding is, it's exponential. It's 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2 is 4, and every day it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows quicker and quicker and quicker. And this is really a lesson in compounding. It's showing up, it's doing a little bit consistently, and it becomes something bigger down the line.
But it's like, it's going to the gym. You don't go to the gym once and end up with a six-pack. Or have these massive biceps and all. You go and you hurt. And then you go again and you hurt some more.
Yeah.
And then as the weeks go on, okay, you don't hurt as much. And all of a sudden, you would go to do something, you go, oh, hang on, shit, there's a muscle there. You'll feel it and you go to your wife, hey, feel that. She'll go, oh, that wasn't there before. And it makes you feel better. So it's just little benefits. And the good part is you can say, go to the gym, build yourself up, be feeling pretty good. You can go away on a holiday and not exercise for a week, eat and drink whatever you want. You'll come back and hardly put on any weight because of all the work you've previously done, because the muscles burn it all up. So your business is no different. It's just these little things that you do that once you get it to a certain point, you can go away for a week, you can have a holiday, come back, and your business isn't going to just drop. The momentum keeps going. Then you come back and you just sort of push it along a little bit more.
It's much harder. If you take the car analogy on this, it's much harder to get your car up to 70 miles per hour than it is to maintain it at 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, once you get it up and going.
Absolutely. Nice.
I was talking to someone today, and I was saying to them, if you take nothing else out of this, I said, get a journal and start every day through this whole Corona thing. Now, if you're only just going to start this today, you watch this video and you go, oh, good, that's a good idea, I'm going to start this. You start writing down everything you've learned so far about the coronavirus, about your business, about how bad things have gone in certain areas, what's been good, positives, negatives, and do it every single day, all the way through this whole drama. I said, because in 5 years' time, you'll look back and you will not remember exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But if you can start documenting it day by day, what has actually taken place, what things have changed. I said, now the reason for that, I said, you always say, oh, if you could go back, what would you change? And I said this to a dentist today. If you could go back, what would you change? You're going, oh, it all happened so fast, I don't think there's anything that could change. I went, bullshit. I said, in Australia, I said, restaurants were closed 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. All restaurants are closed. There was a sign right there and then that things were about to change. I said, what did you do differently from 4 weeks ago to now? I said, probably didn't do anything. You just kept going, oh, we're just going to keep going. I said, but now all of a sudden dentists have been put on like level 3 restrictions. So they can only see like emergency type patients for about the last week or so. I said, you had 2.5 to 3 weeks to contact all your future patients that were booked in and try and drag them in and work 12 and 14-hour days for a couple of weeks to make as much money as you could before it dropped off. And they went, oh, I never thought about that. I said, now think about, chances are this could happen again in the next couple of years. I said, so what are you going to learn from this so that when the next time it happens, as soon as the warning signals start to happen, someone's eating a bat in China. Oh, okay, let's start preparing that something something might happen here. You keep an eye on it, and when you see all the warning signals, what happened? What was the process of things happening to get us to where we are now? What can you learn from that? So next time if things start falling into place, you can start taking action really early. And they just went, wow, that's a really good idea. And that led on to when I always say to people, you should have a disaster folder. I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about my disaster folder.
I've not, no, but it makes perfect sense.
Well, I always used to have a folder in the clinic. Every single thing that could possibly go wrong in the business, I had documented in this disaster folder. So when it happened, all you had to do was go to the index. You go, receptionist car accident on the way into work and is dead. This is what we do. And it's surprising how much time it saves. You walk into work, no power. What's the process? Yeah, I might be on a beach in Bali. I don't want to be phoned up. Go to the folder. You've walked in, there's no power. This is the process you go through to see what the problem is and who you need to call. Here's the numbers, the names and all that. You walk in, there's water shooting out of taps. Okay, that's not normal. It shouldn't be happening. What's the process of what you need? Don't ring me. So we had a disaster file for every single thing that could possibly go wrong, from podiatrist deciding to quit at 10 p.m. the night before a day with 25 patients booked in. What do? There's a process you actually go through to make that day smooth. And so we built this folder over a number of years. And I said to him, when you got this folder perfect, you think nothing else can go wrong, you'll be adding to it. Every 12 months, you'll be adding something new to it because things happen you don't expect. What we're going through right now is one of them. And this is something that needs to be added to that disaster folder.
What about, where would you put the disaster of, I have lost the disaster folder?
Oh,
because that would
you need to have a copy of it.
You need to have a copy of the disaster folder. You need to have it in triplicate. It's interesting because if you said to somebody, what would happen if one of your podiatrists quit 10 p.m. the night before a clinic with 25 patients in?
Never had a problem. I had no fear of that ever happening because I had it documented so well what we do.
But how many people would not want to go there because of the negative thoughts and emotions and feelings which go with it? I don't want to consider that. That's just awful. So they wouldn't go down that route. Now, if you look at things like, we always talk about, you've got to think positive. You've got to think about, everything's cool. Woo! But actually, there's some interesting research which shows that thinking in a negative way, or at least considering the negative options, is far more powerful, because then you create strategies for avoiding those negative things.
Yeah, I always say, expect the worst. Just expect the worst.
Yeah.
Because more than likely it'll never happen. But if you expect it, then everything else is a bonus. It's true. I had podiatrists. I came back from a 2-week holiday once. I walked in 5 p.m. on I think it was a Friday afternoon. And I walk in and the podiatrist goes, "Hey, how you doing? How was your holiday?" I said, "It was great." So I'm just letting you know I'm finishing up today. I went, "Why?" He said, "Because you're an asshole." That's exactly what he said to me, actually. And I went, "Okay. Why?" I said, "Why am I an asshole?" And he gave me all these reasons. So I said, "Okay, well, that's fair enough." That all the reasons. It was like totally. He was totally wrong. I've got to point out that I was only a semi-arsehole. I was not an arsehole. And it was just things where he was viewing something without seeing the full picture. But anyway, he made his decision. But one thing I said to him was, "Can I just give you some advice? I know this is only your first year. You've been graduated now for 6 months and you know everything." I said, "But let me just point something out to you. Never burn your bridges." I said, because I said, "I know a lot of people in this profession. Now, you've just called me an asshole without really any basis. You've just sort of got this little bit of evidence and you've sort of gone with it." I said, "And you've got most of your information from someone who used to work here that I know you're friends with." I said, "So that's fine." I said, "You would have been better to just say, 'I quit. I don't want to tell you why. It's something personal,' and left." Same result. You're still finishing at 5:30. You're still finishing in 25 minutes. That's a given. I said, but what you've done now is you've burnt your bridge. You will never, ever, under any circumstance, ever walk back in this clinic. I said, no matter how desperate I was, I wouldn't have you back. I said, but you do not know who I know. So anyway, 2 years later, I get this phone call from this friend of mine. Hey, I've got this person apply for a job. They said they used to work for her. I said, oh, it's in their resume that they used to work there. I said, what was the name? They told me. I went, oh, yeah, I remember them. And they said, oh, what do you think? And I went, well, or no, what you asked me is, if I was really desperate and they were the last podiatrist on earth, would I employ them? And they said, well, would you? I said, no, well, you need to ask me the question. So they went, oh, okay, if you were the desperate last podiatrist, would you employ them? I went, no. And they went, okay, that's all we need to know. So that was a completely went off subject again. But what I meant by it is I got back from the holidays. This person quit 5 o'clock. I just went, okay, everyone was panicking. Oh, what do we do? Yeah, we've got all these patients booked in next week. I said, fine, go to the disaster folder. Open up, podiatrist quits. What do? You go and you have a look at the patients. What are the priority patients? Who's traveling from a distance? Bring them first. They're the ones that need to be moved first if we need to move them. Look at who's coming through. We rank our patients priority, A to D. So move the Ds, move the Cs and the Ds, the As and the Bs we don't move, and we move the other ones and we bring them in closer, and you push the appointments around. We massage it. I said, and within 2 weeks, we won't even know the person's gone. We would have blended everything in. So it's just putting strategies in place, being prepared for stuff. I hope I didn't come across as an arsehole for what I did to that guy.
No. But even if you were an arsehole, you're only a semi-arsehole, and it's because we haven't got the bigger picture.
Yeah. I still look back at that. What's really funny is I bumped into the guy a number of years after that. We were in Melbourne, and he bumped into me. He said, hey, Tyson, how you doing? Yeah, rah, and chatting away to me. And he left, and my wife went, he does realise he called you an arsehole and said you were the worst boss in the world. And I said, yeah, what's funny? I said, he was young, and I think sometimes people just say things and they forget they say them. They don't realize what they're saying at the time. It's emotional that's coming out.
Yeah.
I said, I don't forget. I don't forget things when people say that. I said, but I'm sure I've said things in my younger days that I could probably look back on now and go, wow, I probably could have handled or said that differently. So, and even the way that I've had people that work for me that I'm sure some people would say I was hard to work for, but I also had other people that worked for me for 6, 8, 12 years. I couldn't get rid of them.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed working together. So it's all, I always say, if you don't like where you're working, just leave. Go and find somewhere where you like to work.
But don't call the boss an arsehole on the way out.
Don't call the boss an arsehole on the way out. If you take nothing else from this, do not call the boss an arsehole as you're leaving. Just tell them it's all personal. It's not you, it's me.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all you need to know about running a podiatry business.
That's it. That's all you need to know.
We could just chat on this. This could be a conversation which YouTube would go, sorry mate, file's too big, we can't put it up there.
Yeah,
but
it's 4 hours.
I know you've got to go off and do stuff, and I probably should do as well. So I love it. I always love chatting to you. It's just fantastic. I could talk to you all day. Really, really grateful for spending the time, and having 3 conversations with you in over a week has been absolutely amazing.
It has been fun. I've enjoyed this.
Yeah, it's been something. We should probably make this a more regular thing, definitely. But what I was going to say is, where can people find you? I mean, obviously, Podiatry Legends Podcast. If you've not listened to it, if you've not had sat down with them, there is so much gold within that podcast. It's unreal. Absolutely. It's just, oh my God.
The person I did the interview with last night from Spain, and I said to them, I've got so much more out of the podcast than I ever expected I was going to get. I thought, I'm going to have Podiatrist come in, we'll chat for a bit, and it'll probably run its time, and after about 50 episodes, it'll probably get boring, and I may stop. It has been so much fun doing it, and every story from every podiatrist is different, and I walk away from nearly every conversation just going, am so glad I'm a podiatrist. Yeah, this is a cool profession. People haven't worked it out. If you don't like podiatry, well, I suppose if you've got through this whole video, you got to this part, you like podiatry.
Yeah.
So that's good. But if you just happen to be, you've walked in now and a friend's watching this and you don't like podiatry, go and listen to 70 episodes. And I tell you, if you have not found somebody there that inspires you, you need to leave.
Oh, yeah.
You need to leave. Go and do optometry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that better or is that better? Is that better or is that better?
But it's great. And, you know, okay, being on it near the very beginning was just amazing, but watching its evolution. So if people haven't been and listened to Podiatry Legends, go and do it. The other podcast, It's No Secret with Dr. T.
Yeah, It's No Secret with Dr. T.
200 and...
I'm at 207, I think, at the moment. It'll be 207 on Thursday, but I'm actually bringing it to an end.
What?
Yeah, you're hearing it here first.
Wow.
It's been fun. Like, I've enjoyed it. I've got a lot out of the guests that have been on there, but it's run its course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got some other ideas. I've just got some other ideas on what I want to, some other things that I want to do, and I don't have time to run 3 podcasts. So I don't want to give up the Podiatry Legends because it's too close to home. I just enjoy it too much.
Yeah.
It's No Secret with Dr. T. I loved all the guests that have been on. They've been fantastic, but it's sort of just it's a small business and marketing podcast, and it's a tough podcast. Like to get any traction with it, even though I've got a lot out of the guests having them on there, and I've made a lot of contacts, which have been great. It is time consuming. So I've got an idea for a concept with another podcast I'm going to run on, which I don't know if people can see. Oh, they see that thing there.
Oh, okay. 365-hour mental and physical challenge, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to be basing a podcast around that. So that was my walking challenge I did a couple of years ago. And hour a day, every day for 365 days, listen to a podcast. I met so many people doing that, connected with so many people. It was great for my mental health. It was great for my physical health. And I've got a lot of ideas I want to do around that. And to do that, I need to concentrate. So I can't be doing 3 podcasts.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? It's definitely
But in the
hard.
meantime, if people want to listen to It's No Secret with Dr. T, I'm still going to be leaving it up there, even though I'll bring it to an end. And it doesn't mean that I won't reboot it in a couple of years' time. So all the episodes will stay there. And there's some great information on there.
Oh yeah, there's some. Yeah, I mean, you take the 70-odd episodes of Podiatry Legend, the 200-odd from It's No Secret, and put those together, and you there's so much gold in there. It's unreal. So much gold in there.
So, and then when I do the next one, it's just be a mountain of information. Wait till my next book comes out.
Oh,
Next one will be out this year. That's the plan.
we've got time at the moment.
Yeah, well, that's it. I've got time at the moment. But there's a whole pile of other things. I said to my wife something today. Oh, I'm thinking about doing this. She goes, yeah, that's really good. Just to add it to the list of all the other things you said you're going to do.
Yeah. It's like I said to my wife yesterday. We were talking about activity and workload, and I said, I feel like I could work harder. I don't feel like I'm working hard enough. And she gave me a look which could probably melt polar ice caps. So yeah, it's all perception, isn't it? It's all perception about what time we've got, what we're interested in, what really excites us and really drives us as well. Yeah,
and I also think with everything that's going on at the moment, and you've got all these ideas and thoughts and stuff that you could do, it's really just focusing in on a couple. It's really what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And try and focus on the ones that are making you happy. And if there's other things you're doing or you think you should do, but it doesn't really float your boat. And I think that's the thing with It's No Secret with Dr. T. I did that initially as my podcast because I loved podcasting and I was loving interviewing people. But the more I've been doing the Podiatry Legends one, I'm enjoying that so much more.
Yeah.
So why not put more time into that and I'll let the other one go? Why keep doing both when I'm enjoying the other one more?
Yeah.
And I think that's where you got to do is look at all your ducks you've got lined up and just knock some of them off and just concentrate on the really cool ducks.
Yeah. Cool
The
ducks.
Donald Ducks. The Donald Ducks and the
Donald Ducks.
Daffy Ducks. Yeah.
I love it. Right, where else can we find you?
Just go to my website. It's probably the easiest thing. TysonFranklin.com. That's the easiest way to, it's the easiest way to find my website. But I'm on Facebook, just Tyson E. Franklin. LinkedIn, I think you're just going to go Tyson Franklin 66. Instagram's the same thing, Tyson Franklin 66. So you don't get mixed up with all those other Tyson Franklins.
Yeah, which there are numerous Tyson Franklins.
There is a lot of them around. Most of them are black. Yeah, but there's a lot of black Americans that are Tyson Franklins. There seems to be a very cool black American name. So, and most of them, I've looked at a lot of Tyson Franklin. They all seem to be pretty cool. The one that must be a really good basketball player, because he pops up in my Google feed all the time. Tyson Franklin scored so many more points in the basketball, football, something like that. Yeah.
Well, maybe you need to interview him.
That would be fun.
Tyson Franklin interviews Tyson Franklin.
But yeah, I would say my website, and I'm probably more on Facebook than anything else. And
Cool.
I'm friendly on Facebook.
You are.
If you don't, unless you're really weird, then I won't friend you. But if you send me a friend request, I usually check you out. You seem normal. And if you're a friend of Dave, you're a friend of mine. That's the way I do that. Someone will send you a friend request, and you look through and you go, we do not have one mutual friend. I'm going, yeah, that worries me.
Yeah.
If we do not have a mutual friend somewhere, how can we possibly? Why would? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Cool. Right.
Okay. This has been fantastic. Thank you,
mate. No, I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. And for everyone who's been listening, watching this, if you've stayed to the end, you've got some stamina. You're absolutely fantastic. But go and check out Tyson's stuff. His stuff is amazing. And mate, thanks for coming on. Really, really appreciate it.
No, it's been fantastic. Thank you, Dave. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers, mate.
Okay, see ya.